Welcome, punters, to the 2023 Melbourne Cup runner by runner preview. As always, I'm joined by Matty. How are you, Matty?
Very well, Worm. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. How did you survive Derby Day?
Well, yeah, quite well, mate. Picked a few off, and yeah, the community were well and truly up and about on Saturday, which was great to see. The pineapple saluted, so that saved quite a few of us.
Yeah, that will roll on to Saturday, guys. So this is just our runner by runner preview. Um, I'll have a bet around the ground for everyone. We're going to have a trifecta in the Melbourne Cup for anyone that's interested. So if you're a first-time listener and watcher on YouTube or any podcast platform, welcome. Please subscribe. We will not disappoint you. We will find you a winner. I'm going to guarantee it. All right, we will find one. So if we do find you one, please subscribe. Please tune in each and every Thursday night as we go through we go through the main Melbourne and Sydney races. So yeah, please subscribe. There's no hidden paywalls. We're all free. We do it for the love of it. So supporting us is by subscribing. More importantly, if you want to be part of the WhatsApp group that we've set up, DM one of us. We'll put you straight through. Plenty of people jumping on board now, which is great, and we welcome them with welcome arms. But more importantly, we want you. If you're not in, come in. Track stats. This is interesting. I rewatched Derby Day. Those circle races, it was very, very hard to make ground, I thought. So the rail will go out to 2 meters, I'm reading. Hot weather Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. There's going to be a lot of hand watering going on. That's not good. Little bit of wind around Tuesday. So this could become a leader's paradise. Horses will sweat up in the mounting yard. They might have run their race in the mounting yard. So there's a lot of factors to take in Tuesday. If you can bet as late as possible, do that because that's going to be the vital stage. But I'm going to be working around horses up on speed.
Well, just
Right.
one thing to note,
Yeah.
and glad you mentioned Derby Day as well, because the wind was coming from a different direction, which definitely benefited the horses up on speed. It's going to be flipped around. It's going to be more of a northwesterly on Tuesday. So you'd probably want to have a little bit more cover. Agree, still want to be forward running, but probably want to have a little bit more cover compared to the horses that had advantage of that more southerly wind that we did see on Saturday. So just take that into consideration.
Yep. So race 7, 3,200 meters, Group 1 Melbourne Cup, prize money worth $8.4 million, 4.4 to the winner, 1.1 to second, 500,000, paying all the way down to 12th. We're going to go through every runner and we're going to find you one. I guarantee we'll find you one. Punters, if you are first-time punters, once a year punters, there's a world pool on. So please keep an eye on the totes because the totes could be a massive variation to fixed odds. If you're betting real late, I suggest you keep an eye on it because your outsiders could be very big odds.
So on that note, Worm, who would be a couple that you think on the world pool could start shorter than if you fix them?
I think any international runner might be shorter on the
Kind of
totes.
your breakups, your Vauban's, those types.
Yep. Your Japanese horse. Yeah, there could be a few that they play here in the Australian, well, ex-European / Australians now could be very not well supported.
Yeah, okay. So those horses betting in Australia, you want to take them in the fixed market. But if there are some others that may not be supported in the world pool, you could find some very good tote odds.
Yep, 100%. Even in your exotics as well. So could pay quite well if you can try and find it. Speed map. This is interesting here. So the leaders I've got here is Vauban, Serpentine, Military Mission, Magical Lagoon, Future History, Lacocha, Breakup, Absurd, Right You Are. They're the on-pace runners. I don't know how they're going to unfold because there is a lot of them. Your midfield horses, Cleveland, Calipore, Discreet Junior, Ash Run, Gold Trip, Alan Kerr, Without a Fight, Interpretation, True Marvel are going to be your midfield horses. And then your back markers, I reckon they're going to be your Vow and Declares, Virtuous Circle, Solcombe, Akiki, Sushi, Shiraz, and more Phalanx. Yeah, it could be a real messy speed map, punters, just due to that leaders. There could be quite a few going for it. Number one, Gold Trip, last year's Melbourne Cup winner, 58.5 kilos. Jamie McDonald on board, $6.50, Matty.
It was in my $100 plan for last year. So those listeners that are back here will try and find you another one. But Gold Trip, mate, this horse is in the best form, honestly, ever. It's running better than what it was this time last year. Great run in the Caulfield Cup. As expected in the Cox Plate, probably not as suited towards the Cox Plate. And don't let anyone fool you. This is the top-rated horse in this field. Look, I would have preferred, and the stable would have preferred a bit more cut out of the ground, because we do know like it does like it on the some give in the ground, but still believe that it will run very close to its best. Now, for me, Worm, the one race that I look at leading into the Melbourne Cup is the Turnbull Stakes, and it had its best run it had had since the Melbourne Cup last year in the Turnbull Stakes. So one for me will be heavily in considerations. Gold Trip. How did you see it?
Mate, yep, 2022 Melbourne Cup winner. It pissed in. This prep has been really good. Pissed in the Turnbull, good in the Caulfield Cup, good in the Cox Plate. Love horses coming out of the Cox Plate into Melbourne Cups. That is my number one horses that I look for. Is barrier 2 a negative? Especially if they don't leave the rail and it's going to be maybe leader bias and they, tight bunched. Might be seeing some rear ends here. That's worst case scenario. I feel the barrier is a touch negative for me. Last year, it's had 3 soft runs on soft tracks in the majors, Caulfield, Cox, and Melbourne. Leading into this, it's had 2 good track runs on good, solid tempos. Watching this horse through the line, I didn't like it in the Cox Plate. He just stopped through the line. I want to see it better going. I'm going to take him on here. I can't be with him. Number 2, Alan Kerr. Damien Oliver, last Melbourne Cup. 56.5. You can have $67.
I won't be taking the $67. The first spring in Australia for Alan Kerr. Look, it didn't deliver over the autumn. Can't necessarily see in the 3,200 either. Bit one paced for mine here, Worm. How did you see Alan Kerr?
Mate, I was giving this horse a chance right up till we come to air, but I've heard that there's a few issues with the horse. So if you've got issues going into grand finals, they do not run well. So leave me out of him. Number 3, Without a Fight, Mark Zara, 56.5 kilos, $6.
Caulfield Cup winner, ran 13th in the Melbourne Cup last year, sitting 4th in the running. Didn't see it out. However, do note, change of trainer, and since then has been running exceptionally well. Did also run out a strong 2,800 over in Europe. Mate, this horse, I said that Gold Trip was the highest rated horse. This is the second highest rated runner in this race, and again, needs to be under strong consideration. Worm, Without a Fight.
Yeah, don't bother looking at this horse's 2022 Melbourne Cup run. It was a soft 7. Didn't suit it. We're going to get a good 3. Sat just off the speed, but made a run a long way out and gave nothing with 300 to go. Was it track conditions or didn't it stay the distance? It could have been the fitness too, due to it being in quarantine last year. Now it's been in the Aussie system for 12 months. That is a good thing. One thing I've noticed, they have trained this horse like a European. Has been in work since Brisbane. They tried to throw him in the paddocks and he didn't like it. They put him straight back into work. Huge win in the Caulfield Cup. In normal years, when you win a Caulfield Cup, you're normally favourite for a Melbourne Cup. No matter what international comes out here, you'd normally favourite. Why are we getting $6 now for a horse that won very easily in a Caulfield Cup? Very interesting. Number 4, Breakup. I'm going to try the jockey's name, Matsuyama, 55 kilos. You're going to have $20, Matty.
Yoshiaka, yes, you can. 30th in April, run over 3,200 metres in Group 1, finished fourth. Look, I thought it was quite solid in a Caulfield Cup until it got heavily squeezed down the straight. And I did say in our Caulfield Cup preview, I thought that this is going to be a much better 3,200 metre horse rather than a 2,400 metre horse for the Caulfield Cup. Look, a wider track is definitely going to suit. The barrier number 18, is not going to be helpful. So, going to need some luck getting across and getting that sit. What this horse does exceptionally well, though, is it will run out the 3,200. The only question mark I do have on Breakup Worm is its turn of foot. Has it got that acceleration across the last 300 metres to get it from maybe, I don't know, maybe it's sitting 8th in the race? Has it got that turn of foot to get past those horses and hold off anything else coming from behind it? That's my only question mark for Breakup. How did you see it?
First look, I thought the Caulfield Cup was very disappointing, but this horse is a grinder. There's no turn of foot. In the home straight, West Wind Blows came across and cut it, pretty much squeezed him out. So did Gold Trip. So that's twice he was stopped of his momentum. This horse needs clear air from the barrier 18. He's going to be 3 wide, no cover, might get cover, but it'll be okay for this horse because if he grinds away, he's going to be right there. Fourth in the Group 1 Tenno show in Japan. That is huge, which is probably the biggest race in Japan, over 3,200 meters. Can't be leaving this horse of your Trifecta's first horse. Number 5, Verban, Ryan Moore, 55 kilos. You're going to have $4.60.
Everyone's seen the replay at Ascot, and if you haven't, please jump on to racing.com. They've got all the replays for this season's European races, which is fantastic. It hasn't understarted in 3 months, coming off a Group 3 win in August over 2,400 metres, which again was okay. But prior to that, it had its best win over Absurd at Ascot, and that's what turned the dial in on the Melbourne Cup and had it favourite after that point. Look, I think the track conditions are going to suit it here. It's going to be absolutely fine. One thing to take into consideration for this horse worm is when they run over in Europe, they tend to have higher weights. This horse is carrying 61 kilos in that Ascot run. It's carrying 55 here. So we're definitely going to see some upside with it carrying 55 kilos. The other point to make here, Worm, is just around the rating. Now, you've got the handicappers rating at 114 and the international rating sitting at around about 119. From there, the stable, the Willie Mullins stable, has said that they've had this Melbourne Cup run in mind for about 2 years and wanted to dodge the handicappers. So I didn't want to put it into Group 1s or Group 2s to get higher penalties. So even though it may not have actually won a Group 1 or a Group 2, this horse has been set for this race, and the stable have done a very good job in placing it to actually get it here. So, Warban, again, strong consideration for this one, mate. How did you see it?
Yeah, mate. I'm still trying to do some research more on this horse about its rating because I'm just wondering if they've rated this horse 114 off its Group 1 wins as a hurdler. So I've just got to do some more because in Australia you get 2 ratings, one on the flat, one on the hurdle. So why I just don't see 114 stacking up on the flat. One a Group 3 and one a rating 105. Does that warrant 114 third top rater? No way. So just got to do some more to educate myself on that. But this was $3.50 favourite when I was typing this up. Now at the 440 on the drift. I don't think that's any concern because I think they're just readjusting the market because there was so much value out of the runners and this horse was way too short. If you like this horse, I suggest you wait a little bit longer. You might get $5. Yep, you said, Matty, 2 years in the making for this horse. First flat run after the hurdle campaign, won by 7 lengths over 28.16 metres over Ascot. A rating 105 race. Didn't beat much, I don't think, maybe. But that win rated through the roof. and that was on a good track. Sat on speed, on a soft speed, good win. Second start was over 2,400 meters and won nicely, and thought it only hit top gear with 200 to go. Second was Valiant King, who finished sixth in our Caulfield Cup this year. This horse will sit in the first couple and 5 starts over the 3,200 for 2 wins and 3 placings. Like most internationals, when the pressure goes on, will it love it or will it fold up? That's one thing we don't know. Number 6, Solcombe, Joe Moreira, 53.5 kilos, $11.
The Magic Man at 53.5 kilos. Wow. First race in Australia for Solcombe was the Queen Elizabeth last year, where it was very impressive. Look, its autumn campaign was good without getting the win and hasn't had a bad preparation coming up towards the Melbourne Cup. Last couple of races, definitely to note that it hasn't actually jumped out of the barriers exceptionally well. It is jumping from barrier number 4, so it doesn't need to be the fastest away. It just can't be giving horses 3-4 lengths like it has in the last couple. The stable said that they're not too concerned about that and they do expect it to jump well. So, again, take that into consideration. Look, this horse hasn't been up to 3,200 metres, but we know that Waller has set this as its grand final. So, be assured that the Waller camp will make sure that this is cherry ripe for its grand final and running 3,200 metres. I think Solcombe is the horse worm with a little bit of X factor and the one that does have some turn of foot over that last 300 metres, which is what you need to win a Melbourne Cup. Worm, how did you see this one?
Burst onto our scenes 12 months ago, was favourite for this race 12 months ago after winning so well in the Queen Elizabeth. Don't bother about its autumn campaign. Let's look at its current prep in the spring. It's been really good. In the Caulfield Cup, this horse missed the kick badly and was never going to be winning the race. After that, the run was huge. But the blinkers go off here. So were the blinkers to blame in the barriers to miss it that badly? That we haven't seen it miss it that badly before. It normally just steps slowly. Blinkers going off, I think, is a big key here. We know this horse will miss the kick. It's by how far? I'm confident it's not by far, but it will miss it. This horse is a contender, but how can you be confident on the horse? You're only going to know in the first 10 seconds of the race where it starts to land in mid-run. It might be a live bet, this play, Solcombe. Number 7 here, Absurb, the stablemate to Vauban, Zach Purton, 53 kilos, $14.
$14, almost halved in price just today. Amazing. Look, Absurd, quite likely run for a 6-year-old. Only the 15 starts. Now, I know that Zach Purton was on the phone to William Mullins very, very early once he heard that Absurd was coming out. He wanted to ride this horse. Look, it won a hurdle race back in May over 4,000 metres. So you know that it's going to be able to get the trip and we'll be able to grind out. It was second to Vauban in June, and then came out and won the E-Ball in August. And if you haven't seen the E-Ball, worth watching the last 200 metres because it looked gone for all money and just found something with 100 to go. So really quite impressive. And if it's up on the speed, jumping from barrier number 8, Zach Purton should be able to put in a fairly good spot. And from there, he could really make this into a staying contest. Good track, won't hurt it. And I think it's a likely type. If it does get that fast run race to make it a staying contest. Perfect gate, so Zach will be able to put it forward. Yeah, going to be interesting to see how it goes, and I can definitely see why there's been money for it, Worm. How did you see it?
Mate, won the win and you're in the E-Ball. Set 3 wide, no cover, but it might have been in the best lanes down the straight. Frankie was riding that day. I reckon Frankie might have been on this horse if he wasn't suspended. Great win. 2 starts before that. He ran against Vauban. Yeah, it says it was beaten 7 lengths. Go and watch the race in full because this horse was near the rear and on the fence that day. Had to wait for its run. The margin is completely unfair. We know it's the trainer's second seed, but I'm not letting this horse get under my guard or your guard either. It was 23s into 12s. Can win. Right you are. Number 8, Johnny Allen, 53 kilos, $61.
Right, you are really good in Caulfield Cup. For me, I would have liked to have seen them send this to a Cox Plate. I think it's a 2,000 metre horse, a 2,400 metre. I can't take Right You Are at 3,200 metres, Worm.
I thought it was the third best run of the Caulfield Cup. It was outstanding. Had to make a run and come out behind the leaders because they were folding up that quick on a hot tempo. Thought it held on really well. I think if you're having a bet, this is your top 10 horse bet only. Number 9, Vow and Declare, Billy Egan, 53 kilos, $29.
Mate, won the Melbourne Cup in 2019 with 52. Look, since then has been outweighted in all its races until it started to drop back in its ratings. And since then, it's been running quite well. In its Melbourne Cups, like back in 2020, it ran 13th with 57 kilos. 10th in 2022 with 54.5. Now finds itself with 53 kilos. So only a kilo more than when it won in 2019. Now, just take into consideration that that was a much slower run, Melbourne Cup, than what we're expecting this to be, with a lot more pace on in the race. But fought it out and arguably was the best run in the Moonee Valley Cup, the Cleveland one. And Vow and Declare came second. Look, we know it's going to run out 3,200 metres. The barrier doesn't necessarily do it any favours, but I still think that Billy Egan on this knows what to do from barrier number 19. Him and Danny O'Brien will have a plan for that. And if it finds a spot, they'll put it to sleep. And we know that it'll be coming. So expect this horse to run on. Vow and Declare at 53 kilos. Yeah, again, some strong consideration needed there. Worm?
Your 2019 winner this was on a very slow tempoed race. Last start, 3 wide, no cover, finished second. The run was huge. This horse is tracking well. Barrier is a negative for me. I'll chuck this horse in my wider first fours and tries for third and fourth. Number 10, Cleveland, Mick D, 52 kilos, $41.
Ryan Moore would have definitely been offered the ride on this mount, and he found himself on it over in the UK. Yes, understandably has chosen Vauban, but look, this horse didn't stay in the Sydney Cup. I think it finds itself in much better form right now. The winner of the Moonee Valley Cup, which generally speaking is a good lead-in race to the Melbourne Cup. So in terms of Cleveland, a winning chance, I don't necessarily think it's going to be up to the class to win the Melbourne Cup, but do expect it to run on well. Worm, how did you see it?
Fave for the Sydney Cup earlier this year failed. Prep has been good. Nice win last start at Moonee Valley, beating Vow and Declare, Future History, Alan Kerr, True Marvel, Shiraz, who are all in this race. I just find it hard to recommend this horse coming out of this race. I know Prince of Penzance came out of this race to win it, but not this year for me. Number 11, Ash Run, Kieran McAvoy, 51.5 kilos, $51.
Look, finished 10th in the 2020 Melbourne Cup and ran on quite well. It found itself back in the field and ran on to 10th. Was then out for about 3 years and has just come back for this preparation. I think the pace in this race is definitely going to suit it versus its 3 runs this preparation. It ran second in the Geelong Cup, and it'll need to improve because there are some much better horses in this than what they found in the Geelong Cup. But this horse has got real potential, Worm. I'm really liking the appointment of Kieran McAvoy, and I think that just demonstrates to me what the stable think of this horse. What if Kieran Maher and Dave Eustace have got 5 runners in this, and I would suggest that they've put their second best jockey available on this horse behind Gold Trip. So for me, from barrier number 11, I think it should be able to sit a lot closer here, Ash Run, in a faster tempo, which I think it'll enjoy. I know I've said this before, but one to take into consideration. Worm?
Finished 10th in 2020 Melbourne Cup, finishing alongside Very Elegant. That form reads really, really well. But had 3 years off due to injury. great to see the horse back on track now. Finished fourth in the 2020 Geelong Cup. Then this year finished second in this year's Geelong Cup. So is it going well? Is it going better? I don't know. But maybe for me, this is a top 10 bet for this horse only. Number 12, the Queen Sweet Junior Bearer, Daniel Stackhouse, 51.5, $126.
Yeah, mate. $126 for a horse that ran sixth in the Melbourne Cup last year. And I had to remind myself I didn't realise it'd run that well. But that was after coming 10th last year in the Bart Cummings, and now it's come out and run fourth in the Herbert Power. So you'd have to say it's going every bit as well this year as what it did last year. For me, the problem is it will get back. It will run on, but winning chance, not for mine, Worm. You?
Sixth in last year's Melbourne Cup, beaten 7 lengths. I think you've given it too much airtime, Matty. It's a no from me. Number 13, Akiti Sushi. D. Gibbons, 51.5, $101.
Look, Caulfield Cup was okay. Got back, run on, and I think the Melbourne Cup will probably suit it better, but I expected to do something similar. International form lines don't necessarily stack up to me having a winning chance. Worm?
Yeah, no, it's a no from me, and that's where I'll leave it. Number 14, Shiraz. Bo Mertens, 51.5, $151.
Shiraz. Look, yeah, second in a Sydney Cup, but realistically, I think for Shiraz, it would probably enjoy some wetter tracks, maybe Sydney Autumn for mine. So Shiraz, not for mine here.
Yeah, it's a no from me. I'm tipping the ambulance beats this horse home. Number 15, La Scotcha. Craig Williams, 51 kgs, $23.
Yeah, Worm, I think this one needs to improve significantly from its racing over in France, running Group 3s and a couple of Group 2s. So for mine, again, I think it'll be more suited to maybe a Sydney Autumn, and the wetter tracks may help this one. So no, won't be in my consideration.
Yeah, it's an interesting here by the sire, My Boy Charlie. Is that a staying type of for this? I don't think so. So a bit weird, but this is one horse I can't line up any form for this. Its last start victory was good. It sat on speed, won nicely. The videos, it looks very good, but it looks very small, this horse. If you're taking that into a Melbourne Cup, it was 3,100 metres last start when it won. I'm going to add it in my tries and first fours because just of the unknown on this horse. But I really can't say much or give anyone a big push with this French form. Hard to assess. Number 16, Magical Lagoon. Marc Duplessis, $151.
In the finish in the Geelong Cup, was racing around in some group runs over in Europe, then came out to Sydney and was running around in some 2,000 metre races. Look, the Geelong Cup was okay. For me, it's a question mark around class here, so not for mine, Worm.
Been running in B grade races. When it came to Australia, it's just a no from me. Number 17, Military Mission, Rachel King, 51 kilos, $35.
Rachel King has just got a sensational affiliation with this horse. After jumping on it in early 2022, went on and won a Taree Cup, stepped up to some group racing, went down to Hobart, won the Hobart Cup, then went up to, in September, Newcastle, over 2,300 metres, won that as well. From there, Gay did step it up and they popped it into the Metrop. Really good race and came fourth over the 2,400 last start. They slowly run Herbert Powell, got the chocolates there, and has been progressing really well. So I expect it to run out a solid 3,200 metres. My biggest issue here, Worm, is it hasn't come up against any A graders, which it's going to do on Tuesday. So that is a consideration, the class factor for Military Mission. Again, maybe have it in your consideration set for your exotics. Worm.
Yeah, I'm with you. This horse reads B grade form, but if you listen to our Caulfield Cup preview, I was giving a horse called Boyce the Agent who finished fourth in this year's Caulfield Cup, a chance. And I thought it was Military Mission was beating this horse very easily. So I got to give this horse a push. Barrier 5, great barrier to be sitting handy in a nice position. I feel this is your roughie of the race for me and must go in all your tries and first fours or you'll regret it. Number 18 here, Serpentine, Jai McNeil, 51 kilos, $51.
Yeah, mate. Look, Serpentine does like to set a solid tempo and should be able to do so from barrier number 1 here, Worm. Look, last year went forward, wasn't able to finish off in the Melbourne Cup. Was up in Brisbane without a fight and was okay up there and has been solid in the build-up races. Again, question mark around the quality of horses it's been up against. I can't see it necessarily running out a solid 3,200 metres, jumping from barrier number 1, potentially leading, if not just taking a step behind. I think it will definitely get past in the straight. So on that basis, I can't have Serpentine.
$31 in last year's Melbourne Cup, put up the white flag at around the 800-metre mark. Horse has been going well, but it's not the right form lines for me to recommend it to anyone. Number 19, Virtual Circle, Craig Newitt, 51 kilos, $151.
Very nice. Local horse. First run was at Pakenham. Only last year, Worm. Ran second to Berkeley Square in the Vase on a heavy track last spring. Also ran second on a heavy track in the ATC Derby up in Sydney. The lead-up races this spring haven't really been spectacular, and I think it's going to prefer those wetter tracks up in Sydney come the autumn. It'll be a pass from me, Worm.
Second up and third up for this horse was really good this prep. And then it went to Geelong Cup. The horse sat worse than midfield, and it was a sit and sprint race. I don't think I liked it too much. Happy to forgive, and I'll be throwing this in my tries on first four. Number 20, More Fallons, Jamie Carr, 50.5 kilos, $34.
Yeah, Jamie Carr on board. Really good appointment, especially at the 50.5 kilos. You're not going to get a better jockey at that weight. So huge benefit there. Look, in terms of form, was 13 lengths off of Vauban and Absurd in June this year. The run wasn't too bad. And then it was only 3 lengths off Absurd in the E-Ball, where it really couldn't get too much of a run. So first up here for the Geelong Cup was really solid. It found itself, I thought, in a winning position. Just couldn't get the job done and couldn't run over the top of them across the last 100 metres. What that's saying is it was in there for some fitness. It found the fitness. A couple of weeks later, Jamie Carr on board. It's going to be ready to go. So in terms of the lightweights, Worm, this is the lightweight that really does take my fancy. Jamie will need to really pull out some magic from barrier number 24. So if they get some luck, jump well, get a sit in the midfield, I think this is going to be the horse to really take off at that 450-metre mark. And if it gets some clean air at that point in time, I can see this horse hitting the front with 300 metres to go. So, Worm, More Fallons, I think, is definitely one that could run a race. How did you see it?
Yeah, this horse was formerly known as Script Rider in Europe. So you're doing your videos, type in Script Rider for the European horses. Has raced against Vauban and Absurd, who we've mentioned earlier. Was a touch unlucky against Absurd in the E-Ball. This horse will sit last, unfortunately, due to the barrier. It just depends how far off it's going to be when straightening. If you can find a bum and take it a long way into the race, it's a genuine chance. But I'm just worried how far off it may be when straightening. Number 21, Future History, Holly Doyle, 50 kg, 23 kilos, $23.
Very skinny of Holly Doyle, only 23 kilos. Worm, mate, we started taking note of this horse when it won at the Valley in August, over 2,000 metres. Now, then went on and won the Buck Cummings, which is a sensational lead-up into the Melbourne Cup. Solid run in the Moonee Valley Cup. Can't really fault the horse's preparation at all. And with that lightweight, I think it's only going to improve. So, again, from a lightweight perspective, one that can definitely improve. I don't necessarily think it's got the class to be contending for a Melbourne Cup, though. Worm, how did you see future history?
I was just watching the Caulfield Cup replay again on TV. Sorry. I was backing this horse back in August. Like, I like this horse, but this horse just keeps improving out of sight and flying under the radar, I feel. Was only running over 2,000 meters in France. Now stepping up to 3,200. If you want to take a horse out of the Moonee Valley Cup like Prince of Penzance was, this is your one, I think. It was ridden upside down that night due to having already a golden ticket in, so they didn't want to bust it up. Smart move by the stable, and it still went well in that race. Will sit on pace and should go really well. Number 2, 22, Interpretation, T.O. Nugent, 50 kgs, $101.
Interpretation failed to finish in last year's Melbourne Cup, Worm. Look, has come back with some solid runs in preparation, which included winning the Bendigo Cup, and we know the Bendigo Cup winner from it last year placed in the Melbourne Cup. Look, distance may be a question mark, and for that's the reason I can't really sit with Interpretation. Again, if you don't mind the horse, include it for your exotics. Worm.
Coming out of the Bendigo Cup last year, that produced the third place getter in the Melbourne Cup. Can that happen again? I don't think so. Number 23, Calipore, Zach Lloyd, 50 kgs, $51.
Look, it's one on the weekend to secure its place in the field, Worm. That was quite a slowly run race, and as I mentioned earlier, the wind definitely was a benefit for those on pace, and that's where it was. I can't necessarily see this race being as slowly run, and that's definitely not going to be helping Calipore out. So, look, horses with a short backup have got a history of performing exceptionally well. I can see Calipore potentially holding on again with that light weight, being up on the pace, holding on for maybe kind of a top 6, top 7 finish. But Worm, how did you see Calipore?
Yeah, one on Saturday, nice win, no knock, but lightweight, going to roll forward, but it's just a no for me. Number 24, True Marvel, for all those comic and superhero lovers. Benny Thompson on board, 50 kgs, $151.
True Marvel, Worm, mate. This had its first start in July 2019, and since then has had 53 starts. So good luck piecing the puzzle together with 53 starts, especially when it won a hurdle at Hamilton during the year. So, Worm, taking that into consideration, plus also what it's been able to produce in its 4 runs this preparation, which have been no short of terrible, I can't have any piece of True Marvel.
This horse can throw in a surprise run out of nowhere. Finished second in the Sydney Cup this year. That was its surprise run. Is the Melbourne Cup its surprise run here? I know he's going to run 3,200 meters, that's for sure, but I just can't recommend it at all. Matty, your top selections for the Melbourne Cup?
Look, Worm, I'll give you my top 5 just before we go into the betting strategy. In no particular order, it'll be Gold Trip, Verban, Solcombe, Ash Run, and More Felons. So I think definitely find those top 3 that I mentioned well and truly in the market. Gold Trip, definitely the best rated horse in this race. Verban has got that X factor and probably could be the best rated horse in the race if the stable didn't dodge a few better races over in the UK. Solcombe, as I've mentioned, has got that X factor. And if it does jump, yes, that's a big if. And if it does get a sit, it's going to be the one that can actually fire in the last 100 metres and potentially run a few of these down. Ash Run, for mine, well and truly overs. I think you're going to run an absolutely huge race. As I said, Kieran Maher, Dave Eustace, they place horses exceptionally well, and seeing Kieran McAvoy on board, I think this is one to strongly take into consideration when you're getting a price of around $50. More Felons, as I said, Jamie Carr. She'll need to weave some magic from a wide gate, but this horse has got form to suggest that he could do a lot of damage at $50 kilos. Worm, your top 5?
So numbered order, I'm going to go 3 Without a Fight, 5 Vauban, 6 Solcombe, 7 Absurd, and 17 Military Mission. $100, Matty. What are you going to do with your 100?
Well, you'll be very pleased to know that I actually changed this during the show. I did talk myself into one.
Yep.
I'll be having 2 main plays, then 3 very small plays.
Yep.
But we'll be going Gold Trip as a main play, so I'll be putting $50 on it. I think you can still get about $650. We're recording this on a Sunday night. I know it was probably a little bit shorter than that, but yeah, interesting to see what does happen with the market. That'll return around 320. Around about 325. Solcombe will be my next play. As I mentioned, that X Factor. I really do like horses with X Factor. Reminds me a little bit of Very Elegant. On the other hand, last year it does also remind me a little bit of Young Werther. So take the good with the bad there. So we'll put $30 on it. And yeah, we'll land with $250. And I'm just going to have some smaller plays on Ash Run at 51, More Fellows at 34. And the one I did include was Vow and Declare. I couldn't let that run around at $30. So kind of that $7.50 for each one of those to round out the remainder. Worm.
Oh,
Your
luckily, punters can push reverse and they can keep replaying it with the amount of selections you've just had.
Mate, again, 2 main plays, and then you've got 3 at $30 plus.
Yeah, no, 100%. Unfortunately, Matty, what I'm going with, my horse isn't in your numbers, so this is quite interesting. I'm having one bet only, $100, 25 to win, 75 to place on Absurd at $12 and $4 to win 300 apiece. So 600 if it wins and 300 if it runs a place. So I just really like that run up against Vauban that day. I don't think it was 7 lengths. It should have finished at least 2 lengths if it had any luck, sat closer. When we were typing this was $23, and that's why I wanted to be with it. Into 12s, I can see why, because everyone's eliminating that 7 length second. It shouldn't have been. So I'm still happy to take $12. It might even drift come race time.
Yeah, interestingly enough, neither of us were without a fight or Vauban in our betting strategy. Now, I'm not going to talk anyone out of those 2 horses. For mine, Vauban, roughly 420 at the moment. I can't really go too hard into it, especially given its rating. Now, I know we have spoken about the stable dodging the handicappers. Again, I hope people out there have already taken it at a price. If you haven't and do like the horse, please feel free to back it. Same with Without a Fight. Both of those 2 horses are really, really good horses. So I think what it does show is Worm. I think you've got probably 4 horses right at the top that have really classy animals and probably good chances of taking this out. After that, I think you've got about 10 horses all around about the same level. So it does make for a very interesting betting race. It means there's going to be quite a lot of value out there outside of those top 4.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm not taking them on Vauban or Without a Fight. I'm not laying them whatsoever because they can win. Vauban's just a price I can't get my head around for what it's done. And Without a Fight, yeah, great win in the Caulfield Cup, but barrier 16, how far off is he going to be in a 3,200 meter race? That's my only concern for those 2. As you said, if you like them, go for it. I'm not talking you out of it whatsoever. It's just not for us. Matty, we're going to take a trifecta. We're going to go Gold Trip, Vauban, Solcombe, and Absurd. So 4 horses for a trifecta. Cost you $12 roughly for 100%. If that jags, well, that's around 300 again, I reckon, if that gets up. So, yeah, that is Gold Trip, Solcombe, Vauban, and Absurd in our group trifecta. Me and Matty both took 2 horses and that is it. Any final thoughts for the Melbourne Cup, Matty?
Mate, only final thoughts. Make sure you do listen to the broadcast throughout the day, especially after the races when the commentators or the interviewees are talking to specifically the jockeys. They're the ones I do remember. One of the reasons I did go quite aggressively with Very Elegant when he did win was J Mac that day. He said it was the most excited he'd ever been stepping onto a racetrack because he could not believe how well that horse was going. So a lot of these owners, trainers do talk them up, but if you listen to the jockeys after they potentially have a win earlier on in the day, they'll all get asked a question: How do you think you're going to go in the Melbourne Cup? And some of them may drop some little bits of magic. So, piece of advice: just make sure you listen to the post-race interviews for the jockeys.
Do that on Channel 78, guys. Don't watch Channel 10. It is fucking shit out their coverage. I tried watching it on Saturday. It was fucking horrible. Eddie Maguire in the mounting yard interviewing trainers. Oh my fucking God, it was so bad. It was embarrassing for horse lovers like us. It was cringeworthy. I'm sorry, Eddie. Just get off the TV. That is, oh my God. Watch Channel 78. They give you true questions and get good answers out of jockeys. So there's your best bet of the day. Get the fuck off Channel 10. Thank you. Around the grounds, guys, I've got one for you. I thought I'd be good with this one. We're going to kick things off at 10:45. All right. We're going to get the kids on the iPads watching Peppa Pig, eating their Cocoa Pops. We're going to find the winner at 10:45 in race one. Okay. We can start off with a bang. Race one, number 4, Blue Stratum. I love these horses' jump outs. They have been really, really good. Didn't make the field a couple of weeks ago at Moonee Valley because of an emergency. That's fine. They were coming straight here at $2.80. I think this horse will lead, jump, and win. And we can start off with a bang. So that is race one, number 4, Blue Stratum at Flemington. Matty, I don't think you've got any around the grounds.
No, there'll be plenty of tips placed in for the community, but at this stage, I'll be running through the fields.
Nah, beautiful. That is all for the 2023 Melbourne Cup. Let us know your thoughts. Who you like in the Melbourne Cup? What you like around the day? You got the big dance, the little dance, the barn dance up in Sydney. If you like your Sydney horses, so get involved, punters. If you message, I reply. I can guarantee you that. So thank you again, Matty. Good luck. As I said, guarantee we will find the winner of the Melbourne Cup. Yes. Agree?
Done.
Yes,
Done.
good. At least he's confident. I just wanted that tick of approval. You're confident you've got it, and I'm confident I've got it. So thank you guys for watching, listening. We'll be back next Thursday. So if you like the show, stick around for Thursday when we preview Champions Day at Flemington. Have a great Tuesday, Melbourne Cup, and we'll be back, as I said, back on Thursday. Have a good one.